There are few things in life that are inevitable. Death, taxes, and Ice Age 2 for the PlayStation 2. Movie tie-in games have been around ever since video games started, existing, with the sole purpose of preying on your wallet because, look, it's the Oscar-winning animated feature Happy Feet. Don't you want to know what it feels like to be a dancing penguin too? Well, here's Happy Feet on the Game Boy Advance. I didn't know being a penguin sucked so much. Movie tie-ins work great because everyone watches movies, so the core demographic for these games, as you can see here, are people with eyeballs. You'd go and watch the movie in theaters, presumably have a good time, go home and see an advert for the movie's video games, and want it, since, hey, you have eyeballs too. But let's be honest, any movie games released between the times of the Atari and, let's be generous to the N64 and say Super Nintendo, didn't really get across that feeling of feel like you're in the movie. The NES wasn't powerful enough to fully render Roger Rabbit, cut it some slack, but when you got around to the Gamecube and PS2 era, well shit, you can mostly see Mike Myers, so let's get the cat in the hat and here's stat. I've made it no secret, I have a weird appreciation for movie tie-in games from around that era. I find it genuinely fascinating how developers would take a movie's plot and stretch it out to a good length for a video game. What sacrifices were made or new sections added to make something at least resembling the movie it's claiming to be about. They're usually nothing super special, but they aren't trying to be some grand AAA experience. They're just charming little reimaginings of a movie. So today I'm going to play a whole bunch of them. Unlike previous times I've looked at a bunch of games at once, there's no theme tying it together like chocolate circles or cartoon dogs. No rhyme or reason, just me facing the inevitable. Ice Age 2 starts off with a cool shot of a mountain that then turns into a less cool shot of the Sierra logo, after I flip through the settings and get really confused about what this widescreen toggle is actually accomplishing. I get some animation straight from the movie. That doesn't sound astonishing, but with how often these movie games either recreate the footage with their own sinful 3D models or just give up like Open Season did, it's a small blessing to see real animation at work. Getting into the game itself, and these visuals aren't half bad when they aren't moving like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, and we get control of Scrat of all characters. You know, the character with like the least plot relevance in the whole movie. Despite that, I'm happy to say he controls pretty well. He's not too slow, his jump's got a good height to it, and the noises he makes when jumping are stupid but funny. This game is a 3D platformer, a genre you'll see a few times in this video, where we go around large open levels collecting nuts, so I'll keep an eye out for the PSP. We get to a swimming section, and I'll be damned, this game nails the controls for swimming too. You move pretty fast, and the camera doesn't have a fit while you're all wet, somehow beating out games like Mario 64. Nintendo is absolutely quaking in their boots over Ice Age 2 on the PS2. I'm having a hard time talking too much about this game because not only have I got no opinions on the movie it's based on, but the game itself is just very standard. It looks alright, it controls alright, and it sounds alright. The music kind of just occupies that part of my brain that I associate with waiting on my food to finish in the microwave though. A little further into the level we get our first bit of gameplay variety, a stealth section where we have to play dead while collecting all the acorns in the cave. And I'll be fair to the game once again, this part was pretty well done all things considered, with the sound design and tight time limit actually making me a little tense. Bravo, one clap for you, game. It's a shame, however, that after the cave, the rest of the level is just really boring to go through. It's not poorly designed or anything, in fact it's a video game that you actually have to put thought into for the platforming and to find all the nuts, a rare sight for these types of games, but there's barely any standout set pieces aside from this little water geyser spot and the mountain at the end. Ice Age 2 on PS2 is not a bad game, nobody's saying that, please put the pitchforks down, but it does fail to keep my attention with how long the first level is and how basic it presents itself. If the first level was cut down to around 15 minutes, I'd be more than willing to give it more time, but as is, I gotta move on to greener pastures with Hotel Transylvania on the DS. And by greener, I mean meaner, and by meaner, I mean holy shit, this game is gorgeous. Those bastards over at WayForward have delivered onto us some of the best art I've seen for a DS game, and it has immediately set my expectations much higher than a game like this would probably deserve. This is a 2D platformer, another popular genre for these movie games, and right off the bat, it's alright. The controls are pretty tight, and like I already gushed about, these visuals are amazing, with everything having a cutesy charm. Even the zombies are adorable, which isn't that surprising when this is what WayForward thinks zombies look like. And you know what, I'm not really complaining about this, but you wanna know what's cuter than zombies? Mavis, our playable character. I was never specifically a fan of her in the movies, she's alright in them, but in this game she's so cute, I want to gun anyone who looks at her funny. Her animations are fluid and the noises she makes traversing the level are lovely. Except for the sound she makes when she dies, it sounds like someone threw a toddler down a mine shaft. The main goal of the game is to save Johnny from James Corden, and after making my way through the outside of the castle, I get inside to find some awkward platforming. I know I praise the art, and I still think it's one of the game's best attributes, but a pet peeve I have with a lot of 2D platformers is that they make the sprites take up so much space on the screen that you can't easily get a good view of the level around you. Look, I'm just saying, Nintendo wasn't just guessing when they made Mario the size of a flea. They knew it wouldn't work letting us see every meticulous inch of his body, no matter how much we want that as a society, but I guess Hotel Pennsylvania didn't get the memo on that one. Saying that, it's not the worst platforming, just kinda awkward and not as good as it probably could and should be. And hey look, I found Adam Sandler. They yassified him everywhere but his nose, but I'd recognize a Happy Gilmore anywhere. And he has a very important task for us. Take a key to a griffin, such high-stakes vampire adventures. And look, the griffin was literally just in the other room. Why did I need to do this? We go back to Adam Sandler and he gives us more keys, and it slowly dawns on you that this game, at least early on, is just fetch quests. Deliver a key to this guy, run back to Dracula, deliver another key, run back to Dracula, deliver another key, beat up some puppies like the masochists we are, deliver a magazine, deliver a broom, deliver a key, more puppy massacring. It's so dull. I want to like this game a lot more since the music and art is stunning and some of the best I've ever seen on the DS, but the gameplay is just so boring. It's doing chores. The video game. I harped on open season for mostly just walking back and forth, but at least there I got to throw Elliot into the Grand Canyon. Here I just get to miss the same awkward jump over and over and over. I think out of fairness, I'll make a tier list of these games as well. Gotta keep some traditions alive. So both of you get in C tier. Hotel Transylvania has the better presentation, but Ice Age 2 has the better gameplay. But they're both just games I'd only play well in a waiting room. Hotel Transylvania wasn't scary enough. Let's pick something truly horrifying. Like Mike Myers. Game opens with Mike Myers himself putting poorly compressed JPEGs from the movie in our face and mansplaining, no wait, that's not quite right, catsplaining what we gotta do. And you know what? Small props to it acknowledging the game story being different to the movie.
Hey, what's this him being immensely powerful? That wasn't in my script.
Oh, okay. Oh, so the script's changed.
And when exactly were you planning on telling me, you know? The star of this little adventure?
I like tongue-in-cheek humor like this. I press start and good lord, kill it! Starting the game proper, and we witness William Afton spaghettify himself and fly into Tick-Tock Clock. It's exactly as I remember FNAF 4, so we follow him in there before he can touch any more children. Another 2D platformer, not surprised, and it is surprising that it's a solid enough time. Got your basic jumps, a bubble attack that can capture enemies and shoot them back, a ground pound, whatever the hell this is. It's not bad. What's really impressive, to me at least, is the visual design of the level. The movie didn't really try too often to have Dr. Seuss-like visuals, but to this game's extremely small credit, the first level in the Grandfather Clock is a really fun vibe to it. What with all the gears and clock pieces going off everywhere, and the general tone reminds me of Mario 64's Tick-Tock Clock. I'm a simple man to please. Give me somewhat mechanical vibes and a brass color scheme and I'm all happy. Ooh, the music in the level too. It's not giving the likes of Hideki Naganuma or McPig a run for their monies, but damn, this clock level is doing pretty well. The game also introduces a new collectible partway in, a set of keys that upon collecting all 4 unlocks a special bonus challenge, with this first level's challenge being to just outrun a giant cogwheel that is just barely slower than you are, feeling almost like a Crash Bandicoot boulder chase. But with like toddler level stakes. After that, we enter level 2, a plant that's been infected with the cat's magic, which I'm certain is just code for an STD, and I continue to be surface level impressed by the visuals, as the devs opted to turn the humble plant into a jungle and pulled it off fairly well. I mean, I'm no fan of these bees, I don't want a taste of their honey, but aside from that, it looks really nice, with the background consisting of a lot of green foliage and blue water, giant evil hoses and hedge clippers as obstacles, exotic flowers coiled all around the environment. This is way more effort into visual design than anyone would have expected out of Cat in the Hat on PS2, but I greatly appreciate it. Sadly, similar to Ice Age, none of the levels have anything particularly stand out in the actual layout, aside from small things like these wind-up keys in level 1 or this bubble segment in level 2, but unlike Ice Age, each level only takes about 10 minutes or less, so I can't complain too much. And even though the third level is really annoying in both its layout and the music, because someone thought it'd be really funny for random record scratches to play throughout the entire thing, it was still relatively fun, and the boss at the end of the first world was kind of fun, reminding me of something from like Sonic Rush. Surprisingly, Cat in the Hat ends up being better than the other 2 games so far, sitting neatly in B tier. Maybe the game gets worse, maybe it becomes masterpiece, but I'm getting ill looking at this version of Mike Myers, so let's turn him as green as I feel. Shrek! Now, there's plenty of Shrek games I could have looked at today, and in fact, I've played a good amount of them. Yeah, in preparation for a now scrapped video where I was going to play every Shrek video game, I've played all the Shrek games on Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and DS. I can safely say that Shrek's Carnival Craze on the DS is terrible, and I beat it 100% in Call with a Friend but lost the recording, which will be my biggest regret regret as a creator. But we're not going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about Shrek Extra Large on the Gamecube. Is Shrek Extra Large? Is something of Shrek's Extra Large? Well, it's sure not his appeal if this is the title screen. I don't like the name Shrek, so I'm changing it to what I wish it was. Boog. The game starts with the book opening up and telling the story, thus confirming my suspicions of Paper Mario plagiarizing from DreamWorks. And to summarize the story, Merlin is a dickhead who kidnapped Fiona from Boog in order to have Boog fight an evil bitch for Merlin. But Boog doesn't really care about an evil magic lady terrorizing the land, so I end up hating every character in the story. The game starts proper and oh god. Oh god. Actually, this is proof of no god. I feel like there's genuinely zero words that can properly explain what this game looks like, aside from the obvious of what you can see, and if you're blind, I envy you. This looks like a Russian bootleg. This looks like an AI interpretation of a video game. This somehow looks worse than Open Season. At least that game had fleeting moments of nice colors and a main character who didn't look like he was made of melting crayons. Even if you can somehow look past the god-awful visuals of this game that came out in 2001, everything surrounding them is putrid. The camera only has 2 modes, which are so far away it's like you're getting a satellite readout of Boog, or so close you can practically feel his breath, both of which I shouldn't have to tell you are not comfortable at all. So the whole game feels uncomfortable, it's just a base feeling. It gives off an aura of discomfort. I've never seen a game do this. And it doesn't end there, no siree, because the controls feel about as bad as Boog's face. Boog has a really weird weight to him and a small amount of slipperiness at all times, which makes walking feel like I'm committing a felony of some kind. And the jump is so awkward that it doesn't feel like I'm jumping off my feet, it feels like I'm launching Boog from a seesaw. So after the tutorial, I hopped into level 1, the Enchanted Forest, and bore witness to a false miracle. We have to get Little Red here, who's neither little or ginger, her basket back after the evil Robin Hood clones hid it away, which actually means helping Hansel and Gretel, who look like this and sound like this, cross a bridge to escape this horrific beast so you can get a super onion so you can blow up a cave with your gas, then dump around this miserable forest looking for candy. I have too many questions. Like, why is this game chugging along if it has the fidelity of a Windows XP screensaver? Why can I never consistently reach the treetops from the trampoline even though I'm jumping from the damn near same spot every time? Why do physics not exist in this barren wasteland? We'll answer all these questions and more at 11. Does this look fun? Even from an it's so bad it's good point of view? Does this look like I'm having any enjoyment, ironic or not? There is nothing, and I mean nothing, of positive quality in this entire game. Even if you're a freak who gets off to disappointing video games, there isn't even anything worthwhile to be disappointed by, so you might as well put it away, sir. This is one of those games, one that I've not seen in a long time, where nobody cared. Every once in a while, a game will come along that I have no way of defending. Usually the problems can come down to inexperienced developers, or studios crunching them into dust, or a combination of these and any number of other problems. But Boog Extra Large sits in the waste bin of games where nobody, from developing to publishing, did not seem to care. Look me dead in the eye and tell me a real person looked at this and said, yeah, that's a video game, ship it, F tier, fuck. Look, if we're gonna keep at this rate of games mostly hovering around C tier with only slight bright spots and major potholes, then I will not have the mental fortitude to keep this up. So let's play something I had good expectations on that pretty nicely delivered on them. Wallace and Gromit is one of my favorite series of all time, with Curse of the Wererabbit being a major factor in the whole being a kid phase of my life that I'm still trying to exit, and today I'm filling Smaller Me's dreams of playing Curse of the Wererabbit on PS2. Now, before anything else is said about this game, yes, it is slightly shaking up and down. No, nothing's wrong with your YouTube, and no, I don't know why it can't calm down. I've never seen any other game do this, I don't know what could have caused this, so I'm blaming it on the British. Starting the game up and we get some alright cutscenes. There's no way the PS2 is going to be able to perfectly replicate the charm of the original movie, but these models and animations get close. It is a little annoying how you can't skip any of the cutscenes, you can only turn the subtitles off, which trap the characters in a dark realm. I get control of Gromit and smack Lady Tottington for fun before starting the tutorial. The game plays similarly to Luigi's Mansion, using a vacuum gun to suck up bunnies and solve environmental puzzles. I get worried seeing that I have to capture 30 rabbits and how slow it is to catch them one at a time, but luckily the game only has you get a few of them like this before showing you how to herd them into these big vacuum holes. It's actually pretty satisfying herding them around, and it's not nearly as awkward as I assumed it would have been. After the front is cleared of rabbits, we gotta make our way to the side and get more, with the game showing off how this is a partner-based puzzle platformer, letting you give Wallace orders to open up gates or shoot air with his vacuum gun. And although I didn't get to try it myself, the game also supposedly supports 2-player, presumably making any puzzle solving a lot smoother without relying on the NPC. So of course I never tried it and just let Wallace do his own thing. He's doing perfectly fine on his own. The game's got a little more fun hiding in store, with platform mechanics like wall jumping and the ability to shoot rabbits with your guns, but in a safe for family way, and not a oh no. We're then instructed to go around and get these ugly statues, and we even get to swap to Wallace for this bit, who seems to play exactly like Gromit, but is taller and can reach higher spots, so I mostly just stayed as Gromit when I could so I could direct Wallace around like a lemming. After that, we're thrown into a big open world, giving us a lot of things to do, like catch a bunch of rabbits in a time limit, find vegetables for Grimace, or try repeatedly to get this card that appears temporarily, but I can't seem to reach it in time, and I think this is one of those puzzles that I need a second player to complete, but I'm stubborn and lonely. And while we're running around doing stuff, I want to talk about the presentation again, because it's really good. I already mentioned the cutscenes looking good for what was probably not the largest budget of a game, but even the in-game animations are fun and feel pretty faithful to the movie. The PS2 could do real people alright at times, but it can really do real clay people alright all the time. It is a bit jarring to see characters like Wallace and Gromit moving this quickly and smoothly, but I'm alright with it, given how good these two feel to control. They've got just the right amount of speed and weight to them to make platforming fun, and the vacuum gun is fun to play around with. It doesn't interact with quite enough of the environment as I'd like it to, but they give it a bit more functionality than just catching rabbits, so I can't be too greedy. The music too, I can't describe it other than just very fun and fitting. When you're just going about the town, it's this nice humble track with only a few instruments, but when you start something like the time challenges to catch rabbits, it feels like a marching band picks up to cheer you along. It's genuinely some good stuff. However, I think my biggest grievance with this game is the unskippable cutscenes. If you're anything like me, first off, make better life choices, and second off, you probably have most of this movie committed to memory, so being forced to rewatch the story but with somewhat worse visuals and retooled plot beats so that the levels make sense is not great. It wouldn't be so bad, but some of these cutscenes can really drag on, like this one after the tutorial level that goes on for 5 minutes. And at that point, if you're gonna have me sit through it for that long, you might as well just play some FMV clips from the movie itself. But with all that being said, I had a fun time with this one. I would genuinely recommend it if you're a fan of Aardman's work, and it's an easy A tier. Now, I know you're all excited to see what video game I mangle and mutilate next, but before we move on, this part of the video was brought to you by water. You can drink it, you can put it on your hands, you can put it on your feet, wash your dishes, wash your clothes, wash your games. Wait a minute. Look, the water. It's done something to the game. Oh, look at that! It's not Wallace and Gromit on PS2, it's flushed away on the Nintendo DS. The game starts with the most compressed JPEGs of a movie I've ever seen for the intro before hard-cutting to the tutorial. Don't you love this UI? We've got the most generic heart sprites I've ever seen, some undefinable rectangle that we apparently have 3 of, a big render of Roddy in case you forget who you're playing as, a bunch of British flags in case you forget where this movie takes place, and the logo of the movie itself in case you forget what game you're playing. This game is perfect for dementia patients, but to be honest, the top screen isn't awful. I love when DS games try to do 3D models because I know it's doing its best and just failing a little bit. Another basic platformer tutorial level done, and we find this goblin who flushes us down our own toilet before the game shows us our next playable character, Rita. In MS Paint, apparently. Look, the whiplash of going from Wallace and Gromit bursting with charm to this game looking like it was made on a budget of 27 cents and a used cigarette is a bit much for me. I know asking for any higher quality than the bare minimum for a DS game is above its pay grade, but Christ, we looked at Hotel Transylvania earlier. Maybe it's because that was a way forward adventure, but it showed how a movie game can look great. Who developed Flushed Away on DS? Art? Not a helpful name, but I found them on Moby Games. And then I found out they developed Family Party 30 Great Games for the Wii U, and now everything makes a bit more sense. Wait, they helped make Space Channel 5? Oh yeah, Flushed Away. It's bad. It's as dull as a brick and probably as pretty as one too. Its controls are stiff and awkward, and it also lies to the player. It tells me I can attach my bungee cord to things while jumping to swing, but it just doesn't work. I can shoot out the cord while grounded, but nothing I do lets me shoot it out while in the air. I promise I'm trying to do it here. The game is just gaslighting me. Stop laughing at me. I'm a professional gamer. There's also several parts that wear out their welcome, like this boat segment in level 3. Pain in the ass move, the aiming reticle. It's super slow and boring. And then I found out the 2 enemies always come from the same 2 spots, so I could just shoot them the moment they showed up on screen, meaning I did mostly nothing for 2 whole minutes straight. It's not all tedium and dreariness, however. There is a kind of fun minigame where you have to quickly use the touchscreen to push all the pins down on a lock to pick it. Okay, I say fun, but actually it was just difficult at first since they spring back up, and then I realized there's no penalty for just randomly waving the stylus across the screen really fast. What a great padlock. I then spend several minutes aimlessly wandering around looking for anything. The game becomes almost like an open world at this point, but it's so boring going from one end to the other, and I swear I went in circles several times. And you know what? No, I don't want to play this anymore. I say that I win by killing the slug. There, I did it. Give me the brown medal this game deserves and put it in D tier. Well, we certainly can't get worse than that game on the DS, can we? Can we? I'm hungry, so my file names the coordinates of my favorite pizza place, and starting the game proper, we got some fairly nice looking cutscenes for the DS. This feels on par with something like the PS1, and the animations are more expressive than I thought they'd be. I just wish the logo of the movie wasn't plastered on the bottom screen. I know these games are made for 10-year-olds who shit their pants, but they have basic optic permanence. You don't need to keep reminding us what we're playing. Game begins and it's another stock standard 2D platformer, but amazingly, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. You can run, jump, and attack, and although it's nothing particularly special, it controls pretty alright. Compared to the other 2DS games I've played, it's the most fun from a basic gameplay point of view, and I got more enjoyment out of watching this lady do violent windmills than I did in the entire hour I played Flushed Away. And don't let the bottom screen fool you. The touch controls are entirely optional for the main platforming, and you can do things like her slide jump with just buttons. You still have to use it for some quick time events, so it's not perfect, but I'm having an alright time. The next level has us play as Bob, and he has some fun mechanics like eating enemies to use them as projectiles Kirby style, climbing on the walls in the background, slipping through grates. Again, I don't want to sell this game as being some amazing marvel of game design. My expectations have just been lowered to the basement on how these games implement their characters, so I'm just surprised that it's doing more than the barest of minimums. Hell, the missing Link is also fun to play as. He can cling to walls to do dive attacks and spit the scoop at enemies from afar, and his level isn't as mindless as the other two, focusing way more on the combat. And I can't believe, out of all games, it's monsters versus aliens that gets this, but for the most part, the camera zoomed out enough to let you adequately see the level you're trying to play, so let's all give a single round of applause. After that, the game dips a bit by having you play as the giant bug who moves so slowly, and it's so boring I literally played their tutorial level with one hand while I looked at my phone. And after that, you play as Dr. Cockroach and do his genuinely difficult puzzles. Like, they might just be a little too hard. This one in the middle took me over 8 minutes to figure out. That might be a skill issue. You guys should play this game for yourself and tell me if I had a skill issue. Actually, the game does have a few of these random difficulty spikes. You'll be playing through a pretty average level and then be asked to basically play an old Flash game and die instantly. Brilliant. With that said, I think this game is overall better than it has any right to be. It's nothing special, I'm probably never going to think about it again, but it woke me up from the coma Flushed Away put me in, so it earns a spot in C tier. Well, we're on handheld, let's see what the PSP has to offer with Surf's Up. We load it up, pick Chicken Joe, because of course I'm going to pick Chicken Joe, I mean just look at him. Then we get an opening cutscene where a giant pile of feces tells us about a surfboard race coming up, and here is the race. And I gotta say, it ain't half bad. It controls pretty good, with a regular turn and a tight turn to maneuver around. You speed up by doing quick time event tricks, and you can get a big speed boost by performing the super strict quick time event, of which I fail to do every time. Courses are neat with a lot of paths you can take, and on hard mode, these computers are no slouches. You gotta hit every speed boost you possibly can. I barely managed to nab second place. I wish I had more to say, but this game is just pretty alright. It's not some subversive masterpiece or anything, but it's an alright little thing. It does what it set out to do pretty well, and I'd honestly rather play this than a lot of the others I've played so far, since it wasn't trying to be anything more than a simple surf racing game. If I had a PSP growing up, I probably would have dumped more time than I'd be willing to admit into it, so take that for what you will. And this game can take a B tier for what it will. Let's see if the PSP has anything else good hiding in store for us with Megamind, the Blue Defender. Hello, my name is Grunk. We start the game with a load of talking JPEGs with better presentation than Megamind 2. And just like that movie nobody watched, the plot of this game has Megamind going up against the Doom Syndicate, who've stolen all of Megamind's tech in an attempt to recreate Titan. Honestly, it's not a bad idea for a continuation of the first movie. Already doing better than the sequel we got, and the game itself is actually alright. It's a 3D platforming beat-em-up where you play as Megamind himself, going around wailing on bad guys with a melee attack and a ranged attack. It's kind of got that turn brain off and mash buttons type of fun to it, and I don't know, it's not horrible. It's way too easy in large portions of the game. Your blaster is way better at taking out enemies, so naturally they balance that by having it use up ammo, except there's ammo refills literally everywhere, so there was never a single instance while playing I wasn't just shooting everything in my path. There are times when you're surrounded on all sides and get a little swamped since you barely have any invincibility frames and no good crowd control moves early on, but it's more annoying than difficult, so like, Besides, halfway into the first world, you get a laser whip weapon that does crowd control, stuns enemies, and lets you swing across parts of the level, and the game starts to tip up in quality a little bit. The whip isn't horribly overpowered since ammo for it is a bit more scarce, scarce, and they even start to spread out the blaster ammo a bit more. The game still isn't that good. I still never ran out of ammo for either the whip or blaster, but I appreciate it trying. Hell, the boss has a modicum of thought put into it, reusing a wrecking ball hazard from a previous level to have you bouncing back into the arena to wail on him more. All in all, it's another harmless but kind of fun time. I'm gonna headcanon this as the true sequel to Megamind and put it in B tier. Well, you know what they say, when you play a superhero genre parody video game, you gotta play a regular superhero video game. So we'll follow up Blue Will Ferrell with Red Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. Starting the game, and we get to immediately play with the big and chunky Mark I suit, and I'll be damned, this scrap metal suit is surprisingly nimble. It's a basic action type game, where you blow through the entire cave Tony was trapped in with a flamethrower, terrorists be damned. The voice for Tony is off-putting though. I know they obviously couldn't have gotten RDJ back for the game, but the guy voicing him here just sounds weird. When he gets mad about his weapons being stolen, he sounds like he's scolding a dog for pissing on the rug.
These guys have no business using my weapons.
Strange acting aside, this one is a pretty fun time. Like a lot of the games in this video, it's not some mechanically deep or interesting masterpiece that should be remembered through the halls of history, but I had a good time running around with a flamethrower attached to my arm, get to the end and blast off with the armor, and when you get to the next level that's supposed to be him testing the Mark II's flight for the first time, you can choose the armor you play with, including the Mark I, and surprisingly, it doesn't lock you out of playing the level like normal. Oh yeah, baby, we're flying around in the Mark I suit looking like the Tin Man from Wonderland. Speaking of which, the flying controls are pretty good in this game, letting you swap between a basic hover mode and a full speed mode that's more like a twin stick flight simulator. It's really hard to control, but in a good way. It makes me feel like I'm actually learning to operate a flying suit of armor, something I totally know the feeling of to make this connection. It is really jarring and uncanny seeing the Mark I suit doing all this, like watching an infant drive a taxi successfully. Shit, you even get to use the repulsors and fight off a bunch of soldiers. This game's actually starting to pick up more and more. Level 3 has you go fight the guys who use the Stark Tech in the movies, and look at how majestic we are flying in. We look like a trash can with a jetpack. I love this. The third level does kind of get a bit boring. You just fly around, destroy enemies who barely lay a finger on you, blow up crates, and do that 2 more times. That is until you get to the boss and fight a giant motherfucking tank. You gotta weave in and out of gunfire and take out its cannons, all while a giant EMP on its back threatens to knock you out of the sky. It's really cool. This is another one of those games that I absolutely would have adored as a kid, and it still holds up pretty well all this time later. Good job, Iron Man. You've earned yourself an A tier with the likes of Wallace and Gromit. Man, these past several movie games have got me nostalgic for movies I watched when I was younger, so let's play one from a movie that I don't see a lot of people talk about nowadays. Looney Tunes Back in Action. It's a good movie that I have a lot of fond memories of, so I'm going to unfairly judge its GBA game to be on the same standards. Starting the game, I find the brightness knob that turns the main menu into piss and causes bugs to start vaporizing into the wall. The story of the game is we go to Las Vegas to assassinate David Zaslav, so we meet up with Foghorn Leghorn in Yosemite Sam's Casino, who tells me the resistance needs to be sure we're trusted and to find $25,000 in cash to fund their resisting. It's a good thing Sam's Casino has floating $5,000 bills and rivers of cheese to occupy my mind. The game itself is pretty alright. You run around this isometric wonderland as Bugs and Daffy. I'm really disappointed Brendan Fraser isn't an option, and you just kind of collect things the game tells you to collect. Oh boy, a tray of eggs. Nowadays, I bet I could sell them to get the other $20,000. Oh, never mind, they've gone bad. Now, apparently paying him and his anti-Zaslav resistance $25,000 in hard cash wasn't enough, because now he wants me to pretend I'm at the zoo and go catch some monkeys. At least he gives me a special boomerang to catch the monkeys with, and here's one now. Let's test it out. Thanks, Foghorn. Oh hey, I wonder what this is doing over here. You've gained access to a Daffy Duck bomb drop disposal bonus section. What the fuck? Am I about to send Daffy through D-Day? Actually, no, it's Shitty Bomberman that I spent 3 minutes trying to work out what I had to do, but nothing happened, so I hope you're happy with yourself, Daffy fuck. After we find the monkeys, we move on to the next area, and to give this game a little praise, there are some well thought out mechanics here and there. For example, Bugs can't swim, so you need to use Daffy to get across water, but only Bugs can use his rabbit holes to teleport. Some items have different uses depending on which character you use, such as Daffy using the Roadrunner trophy to make himself go fast, or Bugs using it to slow down his enemies. Doesn't save the game from being a headache with its platforming and level layout, as I struggled to figure out what anything even is for several minutes, barely got to Foghorn with a shred of health since there's no ways to heal as far as I can tell, only for him to tell me I have to find more monkeys? I thought I was playing Looney Tunes, not Ape Escape. Well kids, Bugs Bunny is dead. I'm gonna stuff his corpse and make him into a plush doll. The game gets a C tier. Next up is another game based on a movie from my childhood, Bolt. But unlike Back in Action, I don't have any fond memories of this movie to cloud my judgment, so we're going in raw. Immediately, I want to give the game props for a creative take on this. Instead of directly or even loosely basing the game off the movie, which would probably be boring and mostly just involve hiking for miles as a dog, they decided to make the game be based off of the fictional Bolt TV show from the movie. That way, you get to play as Penny doing her secret agent nonsense, and Bolt gets his superpowers, so good on you, Avalanche Games. You made a game I'd want to eat with the concept alone. And a Dr. Pepper on the side. Getting into the game proper, and we play as Penny doing some sneaky moves, sliding around and slithering, just like a solid snake. She's got this little wheelbar thing that lets you traverse a level in fun ways, like sliding under lips or rolling on ceilings. It is very linear in that you can only do it on these specific spots of the level, but I feel pretty badass doing this. Penny plays pretty well, all things considered. You've got the aforementioned wheelbar traversal, but also some stealth mechanics, like instant KOs if you sneak up on an enemy, or taking them out with a mine from afar. I feel like I'm breaking the Geneva Convention by using toxic gas warfare, but who cares? I'm a Disney character. I could get away with murder. After stealthing around for a bit, you swap to Bolt, who is just an overpowered beat-em-up character. I mean, yeah, playing as a dog with Superman-like abilities should feel powerful, but when I say overpowered, I really do mean it. You're fast, you're super strong, and even if you do get tickled by gunfire and take damage, you heal after defeating enemies, so it kinda becomes a mindless button masher. But it makes up for it to watch a dog fling armed soldiers around like ragdolls in a genuinely kinda hype helicopter fight, ending in you quick time eventing a missile back into it. After that, we get to run around as Bolt, and he's way more fun than Penny, just because you get to use his super speed. And damn it, why does Bolt of all games have a fun controlling superhero character? Another combat area opens up, and if we weren't powerful enough before, we get access to a massive screen covering super bark. But again, this game knows how to make me feel hyped while playing as a literal son of a bitch, because you get a super speed chase segment followed up by reflecting missiles back at a helicopter with the super bark. Why is this game rocking as hard as it is? Even switching back to Penny isn't that boring, since you get some puzzles that help break up the faster pace action. Don't get it twisted, the game is piss easy and got boring after an hour because of how repetitive it can get at times, but it does a pretty good job of making the things in that hour feel cool, which a lot of these movie games, no matter how good they were, haven't been able to pull off nearly as well. So if you can look past the repeat combat sections and stealth missions so easy that a toddler could complete with flying colors, I genuinely recommend giving this one a little bit of a look. It's not going to give Devil May Cry any trouble, but it's not terrible. B tier. These last two games I'm going to look at go on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum for what I was expecting, but in the most positive ways possible. First off is TMNT for the PS2. This is the only game on this list that I actually personally owned growing up, or at least the PC version, and I loved it so much. I still even have the original box and the discs for it, but I sadly couldn't get it to work on my current computer. Damn you, Ubisoft, for not planning ahead for these games to be compatible on newer hardware. Hello everyone, I'm the 5th Ninja Turtle named after a classical artist, Pneumonia. We start the game as Leonardo, and the moment I start walking around, the memories came flooding back to me. I was worried that this game wasn't going to live up to my nostalgia and that I was going to come out of this disappointed, but shit, it actually controls really good. Like, honestly, it might be the best feeling game of the lot. Your run speed is nice and fast, jumping has a satisfying arc to it, and you can pull off all sorts of cool flippy shit like wall runs, wall jumps, double jumps. I feel just like a real human-sized turtle. The levels are a bit linear, but it's sort of set up like a Crash Bandicoot game, with long corridors to do platforming challenges and look for hidden collectibles, broken up by some combat sections. And the combat in this game, like Bolt, it's not anything super deep, but it feels really cool to pull off the basic combos. Look at the moves I'm doing. Look at the sword boomerang. You even get some basic crowd control with a kick that sends enemies flying backwards, and unlike Bolt, the enemies aren't just complete wuss pushovers. I mean, yeah, this is the tutorial, so of course they're gonna be easy here, but once we clear the level, which by the way was a genuinely fun time because of all the parkour platforming you gotta pull off, we get to level 2 as Raphael, dressed completely in leather. Someone's gotta find this hot. And the enemies start blocking your attacks and trying to smack you mid-animation, or grouping up on you to not let you catch your breath. But the game ups the ante again with how cool it lets you feel by giving Raphael an auto-locking speed blitz attack, on top of giving you a screen nuke when you fill your combo meter, that also slows time down afterwards, allowing for insta-kill attacks for a bit. You get some sick-ass looking bits of combat. It really is the presentation of the game. Yeah, the actual visual design of the game is mostly a lot of gross greens and browns for these first couple of levels, but look at the way your headband and weapons leave a colored trail in the air. The sound effects making every hit sound crunchy and impactful. The over-the-top action music that kicks in when the baddies show up. And the blurred vision when your slow-mo activates that makes everything feel all smooth and cool and whoosh whoosh, and I hate how I can't properly explain this without sounding like a blathering idiot. Level 3 gives us Donatello, whose level is basically the same as Leonardo's in that it's a series of corridors for platforming, but it cranks up the difficulty by a fair bit, challenging you on wall running and precision, so it can be very easy to go too fast or too far and just die. I cannot stress enough how this game just exudes this aura of making you feel awesome. There's this section of flowing water with platforms that, the first time I came across it, I just jumped across them normally, but it's really slow because of the speed of the water. But then I realized on the second section like this that I could just wall run to bypass the platforms entirely and go faster. And it's just small moments like that of being able to utilize the tricks the devs give you are what makes this game so interesting to me. And then you get to level 4 as Michelangelo, which works to test all your knowledge on the game's mechanics with the combat and platforming, as well as introducing another new mechanic with his nunchuck helicopter. Yeah, it is slower than I'd like it to be, but it never really wears out its welcome in the level as a whole. And look, I love this level for the small touches, like Mikey wearing a massive turtle costume so his voice is muffled during the dialogue sections.
When I finally get my hands on you, I'm gonna give you a big hug because you're my brother.
The level itself taking place during a big indie comics parade, so the music is a marching band, and you get to hop across the balloons. The way it starts to combine level hazards like the giant fans with electrical lines and large gaps to float across, it's really great. Maybe it is just my nostalgia blinding me, but I genuinely had a blast playing through this, and it's one of the rare games on here I could actually see myself playing more outside of torturing myself for content. S tier. As for the final game on this list, I do not know how the fuck I talk about this game. Barnyard on Gamecube is a trip. You look at this box art and the back and you think you're going to get some kind of minigame collection or maybe a platformer that retells the story of the movie, but the best way I can sum it up before showing you the game is it's more like Animal Crossing met Mario Party and they both got incredibly drunk and did unseemly things in the closet together. The game starts with us customizing our cow persona. That's right, you don't get to play as one of the many lovable characters from the fever dream that was Nickelodeon's Barnyard. You get to make your own horrific beast. And I not only chose for my cow to be a Beefmaster, but I like how that option sounded so much I named my character Beefmaster as well. Opening cutscene over and we're plopped into an open world setting. We have a map, a cell phone for NPCs to message us, an entire inventory system. When I first saw this, I felt like I fell into a sloppy alternate dimension. Why does this game present itself like a mid-2000s MMO? It's not just me, right? I feel like this game should be letting me connect online to interact with other Beefmasters, but no, it's entirely single player. The game then informs us of a day-night cycle and how different events and characters are available depending on the time of day it is. I'm sorry, am I right to be gobsmacked by this? Why does Barnyard on the Gamecube have multiple layered simulator management systems? Like, the basic locomotion and such of the game is pretty standard, at least at the beginning, but the fact it immediately hit you with all this information really just threw me for a loop. We talked to a couple NPCs like Ben the Cow and Pig the... I forget what he is, who informs us the game also has a cooking mechanic to it, where you can bring ingredients to Pig in the kitchen to cook things like in Breath of the Wild. Maybe Nintendo really was profiteering off of licensed kids games. After we make his apple pie, we go talk to Otis, who tells us about milk squirting. This is your warning for inappropriate humor because what do you mean he asks me to squirt 6 animals around the farm? Yep, the game already has gone off the rails and it's only been like 5 minutes. We put on a pair of sunglasses and get the ability to squirt. Oh god, I'm sorry, Otis is putting me up to this. Why is the game like this? Help, please stop. And the thing is, the dialogue implies that Ben, the cow who's in charge of the barnyard, would be against anyone squirting since he's the only responsible adult. Then you talk to him and he wants to see how good your squirting really is. Sir, I am presumably a small child playing this video game after watching the funny cow movie. You should not be asking me how good my squirting skills are. He then tells us to use our squirting skills for combat and shoot some targets. And since we did such a good job for him, we're awarded the title of Best Barnyard Squirter. I am not making this shit up. After that, we get to open the front gate and have more of the genuinely huge open world opened up to us. And we also unlock the first of many games, Mud Jumper, which is actually kind of fun, I'm not going to lie. After beating it, the game finally tells us what one of our main end goals is aside from being a public menace, and that is to get a star rank in every minigame. So I go back and perfect Mud Jumper, only for Ben to ask me to go and squirt some more innocent animals, which I happily oblige because I'm the sick and twisted Beefmaster. After that, Pig asks me to help him cook again and needs me to get him some butter. And if you didn't think the game was demented before, please observe how you obtain butter. I don't... What is wrong with the devs who made this game, and how do I find them and congratulate them? Oh god, and when we give it to Pig, we tell him it's fresh from the cow. And he likes it like that. We then get one of the most unsettling text messages I've ever received and go change the time tonight, where I find out the game has a whole plethora of new mechanics and goals when the sun goes down. So get this, you talk to this rooster who only manifests under moonlight, and he tells you to go purchase furniture from the gopher shop that only appears at night. Yes, this game has an economy because it needed more things to do. So I take the bike I got. Yes, this game has a bike riding mechanic and it actually feels great to control. Why is the game like this? And I go ride it to the gopher shop to buy a pool table, which we bring back to the barn and learn of another goal we have besides civil unrest and beating every minigame, which is to level our barn up all the way by purchasing every piece of furniture from the gophers. And after that, we play pool with a dog, and I absolutely crush him. Fuck you, talking dog who can also play pool. This whole game is a fever dream. It's mechanically deep, it has layers of objectives that wrap around each other, and I ended up enjoying it so much that I streamed the PC version of the game. And for whatever reason, there are more freaks like me who enjoy this game because there are mods for the PC version to make it run smoother and look better on modern computers. And the cherry on top of this cake made from Beefmaster's milk? The PC version of the game is the exact same as the console version. That didn't happen all too often around this time for licensed games. A lot of the PC versions would typically be stripped down or completely different games, as developers understood many computers at the time couldn't run on the same level of consoles. Take another Nickelodeon licensed game like Fairly OddParents Break Into Rules, for example. The PC and console versions are nearly night and day, but shit, the developers of Barnyard decided to make the PC version the exact same, and it's aged better because of the progress of technology. I'm impressed and scared of what they were able to accomplish. Barnyard is an enigma of a game. It feels like it shouldn't exist, and yet it does, and I'm so happy that it does. S tier, please go play it for yourself and discover how batshit it can be. It's completely free on My Abandonware, and it will take literally all of 10 minutes to set up. You will not regret it. Or maybe you will. And that's the video. 15 different movie tie-in video games. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, and at least one of them made me question my sanity. But all in all, I had a pretty fun time. I originally wanted this to be a whole hour-long video, but after the 15th movie game, my brain started to leak out my ears, so I figured I should cap it off here. And hey, maybe if you guys like this, we can look at more demented and fucked up movie games in the future. I have a bit more willpowered break, but until then, remember the wise words of Otis the Cow. Defy authority.
Defy